25 minutes to 10 a.m. Central African Time. Welcome back. You are tuned into Salam Media. This is News and Views. I am Sahid Chadwit. Coming up next, we speak to Africa Muslims Agency Director Hafiz Hassan Choonara. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Zahid. Shukran for having us in Salam Media this morning.
It's a pleasure indeed. So I understand you'll soon be departing for Cairo, and this, of course, under the banner of Africa Muslims Agency. Talk to us more about this.
Yes, as the viewers and listeners may be aware that the African Muslims Agency already has teams in Gaza, 4 teams in around 4 different locations, assisting from the onset various families with various forms of relief aid. Just to remind the viewers that we have permanent teams on the ground who undertake programs and facilitate efforts on a daily basis. Even prior to the conflict that started on October 7th, we assist families every month. We assist orphans every single month. And this is ongoing for the number of years. And when the conflict started on October 7th, the teams are already based there. They're from Palestine, they're from Gaza, and they just have to intensify the efforts. So that effort still continue up until today in rendering urgent assistance to various parts of Gaza. But yes, I depart myself, and a delegation from South Africa departs on Friday to Cairo, as we are packing more trucks with aid to go through the Rafah border into Gaza. As we know, Gaza is in need of a lot more than what's already existing there. And with the aid that we are packing over the weekend in Egypt, we'll be going through the Rafah border into Gaza.
I think many people have seen conflicting reports regarding the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and I think it's important that you clarified that there is an AMA team on the ground in Gaza as we speak. For those who might be concerned and wondering, well, how is the aid actually getting to Gaza, especially due to the nature of the situation currently unfolding? Talk to us about the process of humanitarian aid at the moment.
Absolutely, an important question, and a question that's been asked quite extensively, I think, over the last 2.5 months. With Alhamdulillah, with AMA, like I mentioned, we are based permanently in Palestine, so not only in the Gaza Strip, but in the refugee camps outside in the occupied territories. We work there regularly every single month. Like I said, there's families that we assist, there's orphans that are part of our Orphan Hope project that donors support every single month that get assistance in terms whether it be education or rental assistance, or whether it be a water facility in terms of tanks, etc. So this is ongoing. Prior to the conflict, we've been permanently based for a number of years, and we're able to continue that once, or even through the difficult time. Yes, the resources in Gaza is depleting rapidly, especially with the many restrictions in terms of this division that's been created between North, Central, and South. Makes it a lot more challenging. It's not easy to work, and we are open to the risks, like everybody else is open to the risks. But alhamdulillah, the teams are out every day, and they're not doing it as a job, but they do it because it's their people. And in terms, when I say their people, I mean it in terms of they want to serve the next person. When we hear from our teams in Palestine, they talk about a brotherhood, they talk about humanity, they talk about the person who doesn't have but still sharing with somebody else. Then we talk about a widow sitting in a tent that has very little means but will accompany somebody else, another widow, into her tent and share. That's the feeling, the emotion, the characteristics of the people of Gaza, alhamdulillah. So likewise in our team, they go out every single day, not because it's a job, but also because they want to serve humanity, and that's their calling. And who better to serve than the families of martyrs, alhamdulillah. So they do this every single day. In terms of resources, yes, alhamdulillah, we're able to draw from with our resources within Gaza at the moment. In terms of items that are in need, and it has many a list of items. In terms of the trucks that are going through, yes, it will go through the Rafah border. Yes, we know the trucks that are going through are not as much as it was during the ceasefire, but still there are trucks that are going through the border, and our trucks, alhamdulillah, through our teams on the ground in Egypt, speaking to them on a daily basis. the trucks that will be packing and currently packing will go through, inshallah. And obviously, there's a process for that to unfold. All trucks that go through, there's a process that the trucks have to go through before it gets to the teams on the ground. In terms of the items, these are not items that we're just putting in the truck, any items we think of. No, we have first-hand knowledge from our teams on the ground of items that are in need. So if you look from day one, food obviously a priority, but many families you cannot be giving food packs because where are they going to cook it at the moment? They're staying in camps, they're staying in the street, they're staying in makeshift shelters. So food packs, alhamdulillah, at the beginning were given out, but now it's changed to hot meals. We also have hygiene kits for the ladies, sanitary packs, bread, which is important. Water, obviously, we know the situation with regards to water in Gaza. And you think about right now, winter is setting in Gaza. It is bitterly cold come the evening time. For most of the people, or for all of them, the clothes on the back, or perhaps one or two other items they have, is the only clothes that they have. And so we are giving pajamas, blankets, mattresses, baby formula for the babies that have been born and need nourishment, as well as diapers for the babies that are there in the camps. But also critically, Brother Zaid, medication. You and I both know what's happened to the hospitals in Gaza. Not many are still able to function. Those that have been damaged are trying to function within what they have. But medication is key, and they have very little medication. Hundreds of people go to them, thousands of people go to the hospital, some of them with the hope of getting some form of assistance. But we know that that is critical, and we are able to supply basic medication to support the temporary clinics as well as those that are still running, alhamdulillah. And so from Cairo itself, we'll be sending medication as part of the many items that are going into that truck.
Okay, just the feedback that you've been getting from your teams on the ground. I know we are actually watching a genocide as it unfolds. We're seeing the humanitarian crisis deepen as the days go by. What are some of the challenges that your teams have been facing on the ground there?
Brother Zaid, it's a war zone. It's a fluid situation. There's no, perhaps you go to a country that's been hit by a drought situation, but it's a contained environment, and you deal with the challenges perhaps in terms of the people on the ground, in terms of organizing. But logistically, it's much more, dealable, so to speak, if that's a word, and you can handle it. Alhamdulillah, yes, the teams are on the ground. They're from Palestine. They're from Gaza. So that's a positive because it's not just sending in new people to identify areas, to identify the needs. And it's people from within the suburbs. The very same people, family members of people you are seeing on the streets that are walking distances. We've had family members, we've had team members who've lost family members, who've lost loved ones, who lost their homes, who are injured in the fighting. So like I said, we're open to the risk like everybody else. In terms of challenges faced, I think every day, we have our briefings and we go through the logistics of the day in terms of never putting any person at risk. And it's one of the biggest things. So for example, a very simple example is you never overcrowd a situation to do a distribution. We know too well now that even the UN sanctioned schools or facilities or hospitals is not safe. So you never want to crowd an environment or create a crowd environment for a distribution because it's open to the risks. So where best you do hot meals in a safe environment, in a closed environment, not in an open environment, obviously helps the situation. Having 4 different teams, Brother Zaid, helps because you can identify in each locality that you're working. These are the challenges. And also not working in silos. There are many organizations. From South Africa alone, alhamdulillah, we know there are many organizations actively working in Gaza, undertaking relief efforts. And so working with various organizations on the ground, with the various authorities, making sure that you respect the protocols, the processes, and not putting any one organization or any one family at risk, and synchronizing that information amongst the authorities within Gaza is key. And that in that way, we're able to benefit more people and ensure that everybody, or at least most of the people, can get the aid that's needed for them, and people are donating towards, inshallah.
And just finally, you are going to be part of a delegation that will leave Johannesburg to Cairo soon. Talk to us about what's the plan of action once you get there.
Alhamdulillah, we are packing trucks of aid. It's 825,000 rand to pack a truck of aid of various forms, which I've mentioned, and identified aid. It's not just anything that's going into a truck. We've identified key items, taking winter into consideration, taking the medical situation into consideration, taking the food situation into consideration, the type of food, which is also important. It's not just any food that's going in, the water, obviously. Taking all these items, all these facets into consideration, this is the type of aid we are packing. And yes, we already the teams are in there. There are teams already, obviously, in Egypt facilitating this. We'll be joining them, inshallah, in the few days, and obviously going to the warehouses and packing more trucks, and then seeing those trucks off to the camps, where the trucks will go through Rafah and into Gaza itself, where we will get feedback from our teams on that side, inshallah, of the aid being given out. So yeah, it's not just packing trucks and sending trucks. There's a lot of behind the scenes permissions, applications. The team are active in Egypt at the moment with a whole list of back end things that they have to do in terms of logistics to make sure. I mean, like I said, it's a war zone. You cannot just pack a truck and expect your truck to go through the border and enter the border crossing and move in. So the teams are active there on that side, making sure all it's in place so this aid gets into Gaza as soon as possible.
All right, all the best to yourself and your team. Shukran so much for speaking to us.
On behalf of African Muslims Agency, shukran to all those that have contributed. You can still donate towards the packing of trucks in Gaza or to the efforts in Gaza, and African Muslims Agency.co.za is the place to go to donate, inshallah.
All right, assalamu alaikum. That was Hafiz Hassan Choonara, the regional director of the African Muslims Agency. They are actively on the ground in Gaza, in Palestine, catering to the needs in whichever way possible of the Palestinians amidst this ongoing genocide.